Greetings, social media world, whatever, YouTube, wherever this ends up getting posted. I wanted to talk about the Canadian election. It's Gordon here, Gordon Causey, resident of Northumberland, Peterborough South. I want to get a couple of disclaimers out of the way first. Number one, I am actually not a card-carrying member of the PPC party, the People's Party of Canada. However, I am absolutely 100% ardent supporter in this election of the PPC. So with that being said, these are the opinions of an individual, myself, who is a supporter of the PPC, but they don't represent necessarily the views of the party itself, although I will be referring directly to their platform positions. So with that being said, with that out of the way, the PPC, as you may have noticed, is doing quite well in the polls. In the last election, which was 2019, when the PPC was very much a nascent, brand new party. That was their first ever election. They polled 1.6% of the national vote. The one individual who was closest probably to winning a seat for the PPC was the party's founder, Maxime Bernier from La Beauce region of Quebec. And he, I don't know exactly what percentage he got. I think it was somewhere around 40. It was basically a two-horse race between himself and the Conservative Party of Canada candidate. And Maxime is running again. And of course, my dog has to start barking now because someone's walking down the street. Pardon that. That riding was won by the Conservative candidate. They went all in to defeat Bernier, and they succeeded. Will they again this time? Because he is once again running in La Beauce, and I do hope he wins, obviously. So I just wanted to address, now that the PPC is polling, as I said, 1.6%, but that was the percentage of the national vote that they got in the 2019 election. In this election, the 2021 election, the polling has had them, depending on which polling organization you're looking at, they're well ahead of the Green Party. They've become basically irrelevant. Most polls have them in around the 5% area. However, there have been polls coming out from ECOS and from Main Street Research that have them punching up around in the 8 to 12% area. And there was even a publication, a story written in the Western Standard newspaper, suggesting that they potentially could take aim at the NDP, which their polling had it at around 17%. So there's talk of a purple wave happening. And with a new party, I'll go back to the Greens and tell you that that party was actually founded in the 1980s, and it took them over 20 years before they elected a single member to Parliament. So the PPC, for a brand new party, is blowing them out of the water in terms of voter support. And this election, I do think there is potential that members of the PPC could be elected. And I think it's very possible. I think 5% is certainly more than achievable. And 10% of the national vote, that would be amazing. But because polling so high, now the knives start coming out. And one of the daggers that is thrown at PPC is they will be called anti-vax. Oh, well, you guys are that PPC party. They are a bunch of anti-vaxxers. And nothing could be further from the truth. The People's Party of Canada is not opposed to people being vaccinated. What they are is pro-choice. They believe in privacy. They believe that a person's anything related to their medical history should be private. The candidate in my riding, I don't know if he's vaccinated or not, and I frankly don't care because it is none of my business. So There has been Maxime Bernier on the night of the debate, the National English Language Debate. Maxime did an interview show with another candidate and a moderator, and this other candidate disclosed that he is in fact vaccinated. He chose. That's his choice. If someone wants to tell, they can tell. So that calling the PPC anti-vax is just a trope. It's just a mindless name calling that you see on the schoolyard. It's 12-year-olds. In point of fact, I mean, someone who is anti-vax, by definition, it means they are opposed to vaccinations, all vaccinations. So unless you're, if you're one of the 70 or so percent of Canadians who does not get the annual flu shot, well, then you could be labeled in today's world, I guess you could be labeled an anti-vaxxer, because you've refused a vaccine. So again, the PPC is not anti-vax. What they are opposed to a vaccine passport. That's an entirely different issue. Does one have to disclose a part of their medical history in order to go to a restaurant, go to a bar, go to a gym, to work, to be able to earn money, to put food on your table, a roof over your head, clothes on your kid's back? This is the PPC's position is that this is a personal choice, and that should be respected. I think it has precedence within the Canadian Constitution, something that has been put aside for now under the guise of an emergency. So the PPC stands on the Constitution, it stands on the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and it stands for freedom of choice. Another trope, another thing that's thrown out is, and I've seen this quite a bit lately, is that it's a racist party. They're a bunch of white supremacists or something, and there's a gentleman in the London area. His name is Salim Mansour. He's running for the PPC. He's a professor emeritus at Western University in political science, I believe, and he's running as a candidate, and he's a Muslim. I mean, would a racist white supremacist party have an Islamic candidate? And if you look at the candidates, the one thing about the PPC is they don't care. It's the quality and content of a person's heart, of their mind. It doesn't matter what color what skin pigmentation you have, or where your parents came from, or your grandparents for that matter. So this is not a racist party. My wife was born in Sri Lanka. Race doesn't matter to me. If the PPC was a racist party, if they were openly, racist, goodbye, take this shirt off. But they're not. Now, with that being said, am I going to tell you that there are absolutely no racists, no white supremacists in the PPC party? No, I'm not going to say that. I imagine there are some. There are racists in every single party in Canada. Liberal, Conservative, NDP, Green, every one of them likely has racists in it. Look at our Prime Minister, for goodness sakes. Justin Trudeau has paraded around in blackface so many times that he can't even put a number on it. For those who aren't aware of this, Justin Trudeau was caught. Documented evidence came out that he worn blackface. So he was questioned on it, and he apologized, referred to it as a youthful indiscretion and inexcusable, et cetera, et cetera. He's great at apologizing. And he was asked if, he'd done it on, is that the only time he ever did it? And he said, yeah, that's the only time. So, okay. So, we all make mistakes as kids, and that is fair. And then we find out two more instances came out, one of which was when he was an adult teaching at a school. And, just disgusting looking at this guy. So he lied. It wasn't just once. Now we had three instances coming out, and so they went to him again, and they said, well, you told us before it was only once. Now we find out there are two more instances. Are there more? Like, how many are there? And he said he honestly couldn't remember, if there were other incidents. So that suggests to me, at least, that he's done it so many times he can't even put a number on it. And yet it's often Liberal Party supporters who will throw the racist label at the PPC when they have Prime Minister Jolson. I know it's an old reference. He was a minstrel singer from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, even right up into the 50s. And he used to perform in blackface all the time. And so that's our Prime Minister Al Jolson. And on top of that, there's another incident that took place with the Native population. Trudeau was giving a speech to what is referred to as the Laurier Club. You have to pay big money to be a member of the Laurier Club, and then they'll have dinners. And if you want to attend a Laurier Club dinner, it costs something like $1,500 or $5,000 a plate. I don't know the exact amount of money. So a number of years ago, after Trudeau was first elected in 2015, then there was, in and around the 2019 election, he had a campaign style event for this Laurier Club. And a Native protester had crashed it. I guess she paid the $1,500 or whatever the amount was. She paid the money to get a seat at the event because she wanted to confront Trudeau over the fact that in 2015 he had committed to solving a problem of mercury poisoning that was taking place on the reserve where she lives. And basically what happened was there was no pulp and paper mill that was leaching mercury into the water supply, causing all kinds of illness on the reserve. And Trudeau had committed, he's great at that, he's great at making promises. He had committed to addressing the issue and cleaning up the water situation there. But 2015, 16, 17, 18, 4 years later, nothing had been done. So she confronted him. She had a large poster. You can't see it in the video that came out, thanks to someone using a cell phone. But she said, you committed to solving the problem of mercury poisoning on my reservation. And immediately, Trudeau's handlers, security, whatever, they came and they manhandled her and they escorted her out of the room. And as she's being taken away and she's still trying to confront Trudeau, he mockingly looks at her and looks in her direction and goes, "Thank you for you." He said, "Thank you for your donation." And that, all the racist Liberals laughed. Stupid Native. That's the Liberal Party of Canada. And yet you'll have Liberal supporters accusing the PPC of being racist. Now, where does the allegation come from? It comes from the fact that the PPC party's policy on immigration does not line up. It's not the same as the Liberal Party's. The Liberal Party, I believe, they're committing to 400,000 immigrants a year being allowed into Canada. And the PPC in the last election in 2019, I believe they wanted that reduced down to, I believe it was 200,000. It was a much lower number than what the Liberals were proposing, and the Conservatives joined lockstep with the Liberals. Bernier referred to this as mass immigration. So he made the distinction that he's not anti-immigration, he's anti-mass immigration, and that's a legitimate point of view. How many immigrants should be allowed into the country is certainly a point that one should be able to discuss without someone throwing a brain dead slanderous comment at you with no basis in fact. How many people should this country bring in every year? We do need immigration in this country. We have a birth rate that is below sustainability, meaning basically you need each woman has to have 2.1 children. That's the birth rate. The birth rate needed to sustain the population at the same 2.1. Canada, like most Western developed nations, I think it's down around, I'm not sure exactly what it is at, but I know it's well far below 2.1. I think it's like 1.3, 1.4. Regardless of what the actual number is, it's way below what's needed. So we need immigrants in this country. And Bernier's point is that we need to target immigration toward the skills that Canada needs. He would frame it, I believe, as saying, let's put Canada first. So if we need engineers, let's bring in engineers. We need doctors, we need nurses, we need medical professionals, we need skilled laborers. Let's bring those in. Doesn't talk anything about race, doesn't talk about what countries they're coming from, whether it's a doctor trained in India or in Bangladesh or wherever, whether it's Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Africa, Asia, a doctor is a doctor is a doctor. So nothing racist. Now, I will point out that what they're calling for right now, due to the pandemic and not so much due to the pandemic, but due to the crushing blow we've suffered to the economy in this country, where we've ballooned the deficit up, I know it's north of $1 trillion, to pause immigration temporarily. But that's not something that would be sustainable, because Canada needs people. And it doesn't matter what color they are or what religion they are. The one thing Bernier will talk about is he talks about Canadian values. And I'll give you an example of a Canadian value. In Canada, men and women have equal rights. In Canada, women walk side by side with men, not under their heel. And there are cultures in this world, unfortunately, where women are expected to be subservient, often to their husbands or other male family members. And that's something that the PPC stands against. They want those people anyone coming into Canada, regardless of where they're coming from, to acknowledge and respect Canadian values. One of those being that men and women are equal. And I'll give a great example. There's a practice that's absolutely horrific. It's called female circumcision. I'm not going to go into the details because it's horrific. But it is, within certain cultures, it's the norm, because women are treated like chattel. And there are individuals who will come into Canada and they want to continue that same practice because it's part of their culture. Well, in our country, in this country, in Canada, it's not. In this country, in Canada, men and women are equal. So calling, I get it, it's politics. And in politics, anything goes. If it means you can win one more seat, two more seats, if you have to lie and slander and slur, all's fair in love and war, and politics can be war. The last thing, the major thing you're going to hear, and this one particularly comes more from the conservative side, from Aaron O'Toole's Conservative Party, and they will say that you are splitting the vote. I mean, people are fed up with Trudeau. He's, selfie boy, Mr. Al Jolson, Mr. Blackface, Mr. Mocking Our Natives. Thank you for your donation. And so people are fed up. He's been a disaster, worst prime minister of my lifetime, my 55 years. How many have I been through? I've been through Trudeau. Trudeau was followed by John Turner. John Turner was followed by Brian Mulroney. Brian Mulroney was followed by Kim Campbell. Kim Campbell was followed by John Chrétien. John Chrétien was followed by Paul Martin. Paul Martin was followed by Stephen Harper. Stephen Harper was followed by Justin Trudeau. So in my 55 years, I've gone through 8 prime ministers. And actually, there was one when I was still in diapers. That was Lester B. Pearson. But I don't remember much about him. So you could say 9. And absolute worst, but the least qualified as well. I mean, everyone else had accomplishments, had degrees in law. These were accomplished individuals. who were prime minister, whether you agreed with them or not, at least they had, academic accreditation, professional experience. Stephen Harper was an economist. Paul Martin was the CEO of Power Corporation, one of the biggest corporations in Canada. Jean Chrétien was a constitutional lawyer. Accomplished individuals. What do we have now? A part-time drama teacher, and I don't even think he ever taught any classes. There are reports saying he was basically, my view is he was basically hired at that school so that they could have the name Trudeau on their letterhead or for their fundraising letters so that he could help them raise money, which he's really good at. He's a good talker, kind of. Although personally, I can't listen to the man speak without getting acid reflux, but that's me maybe. So the last thing, now the Conservatives are saying that, you're splitting the vote. You're splitting the vote because everyone hates Trudeau. And so it's widely perceived that the only viable alternative to replace Trudeau as prime minister is Erin O'Toole. And so any votes, because the PPC is a truly conservative party, the Erin O'Toole's Conservative Party says if you're pulling votes away. And I'm here to tell you right now that Erin O'Toole and the Conservative Party is not the Conservative Party anymore. They are another Liberal party. We have 4 parties on the left in this country. Erin O'Toole wants so badly to be elected that he decided, I'm going to be a Liberal. I'm not going to care about fiscal responsibility anymore. I'm not going to care about the rule of law and our Constitution and our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, because I want to attract those left-wing leaning extremists. That's my view. And so I'm going to shift the party so far to the left. So basically what you have in this country is you've got fake conservative, Liberal, Green, NDP. You have 4 parties on the left, and you have the PPC on the right. There is no other conservative party in this country than the PPC. What is a conservative value? Lockdowns. Are you in favor of lockdowns? Are you in favor of the government arbitrarily deciding what businesses get to stay open and what businesses get to close? In Toronto, at times, Steeles Avenue, a business on the north side of the street would be closed, or rather, I think it was on the north side, the business would be open, and on the south side, 100 meters or so away, the business would be closed. That makes sense. If you're a conservative, it doesn't. And yet the Erin O'Toole and his Conservative Party support lockdowns. So if you're opposed to lockdowns, then you got to vote Conservative, PPC. Or if you're in favor of lockdowns, you have 4 choices: Erin O'Toole, Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, or the Green. I don't even know their party leader. I don't know. And if you're in Quebec, you have a 5th party on the left, the Bloc Québécois. I don't know the Green leader. I don't know the Bloc, or I don't know the Green Party leader or the Bloc Québécois leader. But I live in Ontario. The Bloc is irrelevant to me because I don't live in Quebec. And the Green is irrelevant anyway, because they're polling basically, they're going to get as many votes as the PPC got last time. The PPC is blowing them away. So I'll just reiterate: if you're in favor of locking down, pick one of the Liberal parties: Erin O'Toole, Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, Green, or Bloc Québécois. If you're a conservative who doesn't want more lockdowns, you have to vote PPC. Or if you're opposed to the vaccine passport, not the vaccine, you can get the vaccine or not get the vaccine, your choice. But if you're opposed to the vaccine passport, where you need this whatever mark, QR code, whatever system they bring in, digital ID, I don't know how it's going to roll out. If you support that, a vaccine passport, where basically we have 2 classes of citizens: those who will participate in this vaccine passport and those who won't. If you support that, well, then you have 4 choices, 5 if you're in Quebec. If you're opposed to vaccine passports, there is only one choice: the Conservative Progressive Party of Canada. One other one, masking mandates. Masking mandates. The PPC believes that masking should be voluntary. If you want to wear one, wear one. If you don't, that's okay. I'll let you know that, and I'll invite you to check this man out. His name is Dr. Colin Furness. He is an infection control epidemiologist with the University of Toronto, quoted in a CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, news piece, talking about the fact that if you are wearing a mask, do it safely, which no one does. This is the thing. Nobody wears these things properly. These are PPE, personal protective equipment, and they have to be handled properly because it's a safety issue. And the main driver, the main point in the CBC article I read, quoting this infection control epidemiologist, his name again, Colin Furness. I believe it's Furnes, maybe 2 S's. Anyway, basically what he was saying, and it's based, based on information that's already been published in the British Medical Journal, the Annals of Internal Medicine, and others. Having this rag in front of your face for hours on end a day, that it has the potential to collect bacteria, obviously. It's an ideal, he refers to it as an ideal breeding ground for bacteria. And he says in the article that, at some point you start breathing it in. And then you get into the potential for respiratory tract infections, bacterial infections in your respiratory tract. And some bacteria, he notes in the article that some bacteria can be drug resistant in today's world. Big surprise, everyone using sanitizer like it's water. And so he recommends in the article swapping out a mask every 2 hours. And then if it's a cloth mask, boiling it to kill the bacteria before you wear it again. I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not a virologist, vaccinologist, none of the above. I have no medical accreditation. Like everyone else, I simply read all the information, try and get 2 sides to everything, whether it's on the mask, what are the pro sides, what are the con sides, how do I do it smartly? So, in terms of masks, when absolutely required, I put one on, going grocery shopping or whatever, but I'm not wearing it for 2 hours or more at a time. Retail workers do have to wear them. And when I go shopping, or I mention this to a lot of people to look it up, because I have don't take my word for it. Talk to someone who's accredited, and keep yourself safe. Don't put yourself at risk of a respiratory infection because you're breathing in bacteria. So that's my little video. Went on a lot longer than I had anticipated, but you're welcome to comment. And as I say, I'll wrap it up with, if you are a conservative-minded individual, and you're trying to decide who to vote for, there is only one Conservative Party in Canada. So there's no vote to split. If you're a conservative, there's no vote to split because there's only one Conservative Party. You can't vote for another Conservative Party. You can't split the vote. Now, if you're a left-leaning, if you're a liberal-minded voter, which is most of the voters in this country, if you're a liberal-minded voter, you've got 4 choices, 5 if you're in Quebec. You can vote for Erin O'Toole, you can vote for Justin Trudeau, you can vote for Jagmeet Singh, you can vote for the Greens, you can vote for the Bloc Québécois. 4 or 5 choices if you're on the left side. If you're on the right, there's nothing to split from. If you want vaccine passports, if you want lockdowns, if you are in favor of these things, you can safely pick any one of O'Toole, Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, the Green Party, or the Bloc Québécois. They all support it. The only party standing up against it, the only Conservative Party is the PPC. So get out, vote, and again, just to reiterate, I'm not speaking. This is one individual's opinions on things, on what's going on in the election, and on the PPC position and platform. But I'm not speaking on behalf of the party. So I'll leave you with that. Everyone have a great night.